So this is the engine bay on the 69 Camaro. Got the LT4 in with cool custom billet intake, valve covers, all the kind of little gadgets are on the motor that I need to go around. I'm going to throw a couple ideas at Bob. Bob's throwing a couple ideas at me. What we are going to do is continue shaving the firewall, get the firewall looking nice, all those holes gone, all the carbon fibers going. I would like to fill this area here and maybe almost like bring a bikini strap kind of thing and let it flare out into the front sheet metal. The sheet metal go from here all the way back and around as we always do. But I want to try and keep the inner fenders in, the stock inner fenders. That's the splash shield, all of that stuff. It's already in this car. I'm going to take on the challenge to try to make something cool that looks like a full engine bay that will lace over this. This car doesn't sit super slammed. It's slammed, but not super slammed. So with the wheel and tire that it has, everything works with the stock inner fenders in it now perfectly fine. So I would like to keep those, figure out some type of way to retrofit this sheet metal, and then, you know, then it'd be something cool like guys at home could pop the hood on a 69 Camaro and do the same thing as well. The challenge is we usually always cut this flange off, make our own smooth flange, and then we do hidden hardware with our sheet metal hidden through there, which we bolt from the bottom side. This is not going to be that way. I'm going to put a little flange off of here, and my sheet metal will have bolts that go down through here that tie into these fender bolts. So I'll use all the existing bolts that are there and then add some to it that is all timed out, that looks good. It'll add a little bit of a bling. There's a lot of mechanicalness going on here anyway. Just a little bit something different than what I normally do. I normally hide the hardware. This one's going to have exposed hardware that'll make it easier to put the panels in and out on a retrofit situation. So it's going to be a bolt-in engine bay, so to speak. First for me. So it'll be a fun challenge. A lot of shit to get around, but that makes it look cool when you do get it all around everything nice and tight and tidy. I think if anything, we'll upgrade this one a little bit here. We'll see. Backside. All right, so this is the design we came up with on the Camaro. Like we said, it's a retrofit engine bay that we want it to be full, like a full engine bay. So it's kind of tricky on no cutting and welding on any of the factory metal, but still making everything fit in, pieces big enough to look cool and uniform. It'll have some hardware exposed because we can't cut and weld and do the hidden fasteners like we normally do. But anyway, it'll be a pretty cool layout. Like I always say, everything will get a lot fancier when it's made out of metal, have a little more shape to it. But right now, this is like the format that it's going to have. There'll be a body seam here, which will all be a lot tighter, but there'll be a seam there where this top section can lift off. You can access the radiator and all the coolants. This thing's got a lot of hidden parts and pieces and everything going on. We're just going to bury all that stuff because we don't ever want to see it. We always want it to look cool. So we're burying all that. It's got this big billet top on the LT4 motor, some fancy top. So we're going to build this little cover. It'll all tighten up and fit tidy and tie into the sheet metal. Once again, just hiding bunches of the shit that we don't care to see. Make it all look a little neater when you pop the hood. Nothing that we haven't never done before, but doing this big of a sheet metal in a retrofit situation is kind of tricky. First time I've done it. I've done some smaller pieces and whatever. But to try to make it look like a full engine bay in a car that's already done and painted, it's a little trickier, but that's what we like. We like the tricks when we're done with them. While it's tricking us, we get aggravated and crabby, but we're past that point. We think we got it figured out. We're going to start bending up some metal now and find out what we didn't figure out. So Come along for the ride if you wish. Got a long way to go. Yeah, tear it up, tear it out. Timmy dog. Timmy dog's happy. We're all happy. Yeah, boy, don't get it. Oh, this motherfucker is his video. This is a temporary piece. I'm gonna make all this out of aluminum. I forgot I started making this.
You said you're making these out of steel first for support, then you'll make them out of aluminum?
I'll make it all. I'll all be made out of aluminum. I forgot and I grabbed this steel. And then I'm like, well, I normally don't do this, but I'm having trouble getting the fucking cardboard to stay sticking for whatever reason. I don't know if we got a little batch of oily cardboard or what. I mock it all up and I turn my back and it's all unstuck and it's hanging everywhere. It's not holding good shape, so I'm battling it. So I was like, well, I'll just make a guinea pig piece here, set it all in place and make sure I can get it in and everything. And if I need to do some adjustments and stuff, I will, which I think I do. Because I'm trying to tuck it under this lip and then get it tucked under this lip and then go from there. But no, this piece will be thrown away and it'll all be made out of aluminum, but it'll have the same basic look. It'll just be all made out of aluminum, so the whole engine bay will be made out of aluminum, basically just to reduce the weight. It's just a lace over fancy up cover, so it's not doing anything structure, it's not doing anything but just looking cool. So why drag around the extra weight of all the steel when I can just make it out of aluminum? Not that it's any easier, it's just lighter. Motherfucker, I knew it! Put all the tools down. Tools down. Tools down. Radio strike. No music, no videos. Cameraman ain't gonna have no job. you weld it on one side, and if you're going to grind it down, like if you're welding a gas tank or something and you're leaving the whole weld, it's no big deal. But we're going to metal finish these welds. So this is a prime example. Like, it's fully penetrated, it's welded down into that corner and on them corners. But if you look on the inside, it just bubbles up. It doesn't really seal. It doesn't weld all the way through like it does on steel, on aluminum. So if I was to grind this all down and metal finish it all nice like we do, then you took so much weld material away on the aluminum, it'll eventually crack because it doesn't penetrate through like steel does. So we go back through and you weld both sides. So when this is done, it'll have a weld on this side and a weld on this side. And then now I can metal finish them down. You got plenty of material there to get it back to where it was. You can just do this on the one side and maybe you get lucky, but I've had it crack before. So once it cracks, you know, then you got to go back and try to re-weld it. But what I realized is no matter how much heat and penetration and all that, somebody's going to say, well, turn the heat up and penetrate it. So you can penetrate it all you want and it'll blow all through, but it blows through nasty and it separates still. And what you got to do is mold it back together, and then it's nice and solid. So it's like, it's just a problem with doing the thin sheet metal aluminum. Like I said, if I was leaving that weld there and never gonna grind on it, it's fine, you're done. But if you're gonna grind that down, you gotta weld the back side. This is another piece to the sidewall of the 69 Camaro, and what I had to do is make it in two pieces. This is the actual back side of it. I'm gonna weld, put some tacks here, and then we'll flip it over and weld it again. But if you look down here, this has a really nice radius in it, and then it's also radius this way up off the table. I couldn't get all that radius real finesse, real nice and easy with this much material hanging on here. This actually follows the hood line of the car. This actually follows the fender radius. So I had to cut this apart, make this piece. Now I made this piece. Now I'm going to weld them together because I can pick this flap up and make it follow everything how I need it, versus when all that material was on here, I couldn't get it to go good. Well, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to break a panel down and make little pieces to make it all happen. Like I made this piece and welded it in. Now I'll make this piece and weld it on. Then when you metal finish it all, it'll be a big piece, and then it'll fit how you wanted it to fit with the little hammer and dolly in, of course. But sometimes that's what you got to do. They're not always big pieces that cover a lot of ground. Sometimes that big piece starts with a whole bunch of little bitty pieces, and that's what we have here. So when you do this, I screw it together. It was overlapping metal, so I know it would fit because I put it in the car all screwed together. So before I cut it in half and took the screws out, I put a bunch of reference lines so that when I cut through it, and this piece was on here, when I cut this piece away to now that they're tongue and groove fit, all these little lines line up so that I know I'm in time of how it used to fit on the car. So we'll weld this line, we'll weld all them little screw holes up and hammer and dolly it, and we'll be ready to test fit it. all these fucking obstacles get around.
Tight squeeze.
Issues. Sink down there a little bit there.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more build videos like this, help us out by liking, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. And it's a little thing to do, but don't forget to turn on those notifications. If you want to buy merch, go to store.classiccarstudio.com. See you next time.